Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimale here in Abuja. Tonight we're having a conversation about what has become a major problem in the north central region of the country. Benue Plateau states have seen some coordinated attacks which has gotten a lot of people worried. And that's the reason we saw the National Security Advisor, Nuru Badu, visiting the state, and he's called it an act of evil. How does the governor, Reverend Father Alia, how does he see or view what has happened right on his own territory? We'll be getting to speak with him exclusively tonight on the program. But on the flip of the program, on the other side, I'll be speaking with some rights activists who are asking the National Assembly not to overlook the passage of the reserved seat for women. Well, we'll be finding out why that is necessary in a Nigeria of today. But before we get talking, everyone, let's get to serve you with your political roundup stories.
The Edo State government has held a high-level meeting convened to address pressing security concerns in Edo North Senatorial District. The meeting, which was presided by the Edo State Governor Monday Okpebolo, and had in attendance some personalities, including senators representing Edo North, former Governor Adams Oshomole, traditional rulers, security agencies, and local residents. The meeting focused mainly on tackling the lingering issue of kidnapping in the region.
We came here for a peaceful discussion regarding security. All our leaders were present, and we had a very useful discussion. And I believe we watch it from here. So things will be perfect in our land.
To Kwara State, where Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak has paid a visit to the Emir of Kayama over the recent attacks and killings of several indigents of the community by alleged bandits in the national park located in the area. The governor was accompanied by heads of security agencies who assured the residents of the readiness of the security agencies to flush out the undesirable elements in the area.
What you see today is the non-state actors targeting the vigilantes, the pathfinders who knew the tracks, targeting them in reprisal attacks. So this will come to pass.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Imo State has announced that the era of internal conflicts and confusion is over, affirming that the party is now strong, vibrant, and poised to reclaim its rightful position in the state by 2027. Speaking to party members in Abombise local government area of Imo State, the zonal secretary of the PDP in the state, Arthur Ugochukwu, dismisses claims from certain quarters suggesting that the party is dead or inactive. The factional chairman of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYCN, Rivers State Chapter, Bari Bani, has reaffirmed the council's commitment to promoting peace across the state despite the ongoing political crisis. Speaking on the sidelines of a visit to the palace of the traditional ruler of Okochiri Kingdom, King Ateketom, Bani assured that the youth under his leadership are committed to the promotion of peace moves and initiatives in the state. He further backed President Tinubu on the state of emergency declaration in the state, saying that was the best decision he could have made in the interest of the state.
Let's take you to Benue State, where the National Security Advisor, the NSA, to the President, Malam Nasu Nuhu Badu, today has assured the people of Benue State of the federal government's determination to end insecurity. Mr. Badu gave the assurance during a stakeholders meeting in Makurdi following the killings of over 70 persons in Ukuma and Logo local government areas of the state on Good Friday. He said that President Bola Tinubu has emphasized that Benue was not alone in its current security challenges, noting that the entire country was grappling with similar issues, describing the killings as a national tragedy. He says it was an act of evil that visited the state. Let's take a listen to them.
It's not just Nigeria that have been a victim of this type of things. Many countries in the world, many of the countries have lost the fight against these evil people. Sudan today do not have government. Niger today is a military government. Mali is a military government. Burkina Faso is a military government. They face the same problem we are talking about. I worked in Afghanistan in the past. Today, those people who we went, the whole world went to confront, to fight, are the ones who are in charge of Afghanistan. Just to tell you, today in our country, I believe that we are not doing badly, given the massive nature of the problem and the challenge. There is no part of Nigeria today is controlled by them. There is no part of Nigeria is controlled and politically in charge by them. We have done fairly well. We are not yet over. Issue of security or insecurity is not an issue that you can instantly say you will address. We appeal to Nigerians to give us understanding. Appreciate the fact that there are people who are working and that it is a matter of time.
Guma is one of the most productive local governments on agriculture in the state. And if they've been so badly hit, as the Sankara axis comprising Sena Ala, Ukum, and local governments, that is the headquarters of yams in the state and in the whole world. Benue counts as #1 producer of yams in the entire world. And that is our headquarters where we have the yams. So if we're talking about food insecurity in the nation, and right home here, we're experiencing its shortage, then it means it's not a good omen. But unfortunately for us here in the state, we had, instead of a Good Friday, experienced a Black Friday. We had a venomous attacks on Katsina Ala, on Ukum, and then it took its peak in local government.
Such scenario playing out in what is regarded, they still regarded as the food basket of the nation. And I mean, this is not the first time you will hear attacks on local government areas, and one will be wondering what exactly is going on. Let's speak with the Chief Executive of the state. Governor, Reverend Father Alia is live for us from Makurdi, the capital of Benue State. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight, and we commiserate with the good people of Benue State and your government and this very dastardly act of these very evil men. The NSA described the incident or the coordinated attacks as an act of evil. We would like to know how you view it, but first and foremost, we understand that the death toll originally put at 50-something has now risen to 72. Bring us up to speed with what we do know right now in respect of the aftermath of the attacks.
Yeah, good evening, Shaun, and good evening, fellow Nigerians. What befell us here in the state during the Holy Week, as per the church's, the Christian calendar, remains quite devastating. It's a terrible calamity, not only in the state here, but the entire nation. That night of Thursday, there was this attack we got wind of. And we understood 5 people were taken to the morgue. And before we could know any further thing, it went to 2, and I mean 2 more corpses came in, and then 12. The moment we just got wind that there was an attack in Ukum local government, again, Ukum shares border with Logo, and then Katsina Ala shares border with the both Logo and Ukum as well. They are, by the traditional divide, they are called Sankara. So the entire axis here has been in the front lines of these attacks for quite some time now. Remember the context to this is, Benue in particular has been in the front lines. we had 23 local governments, 17 were badly affected, badly attacked. And then it went all the way down. And this is over time. This is over time. In some local governments, like in West, the attacks are as old as about 19 years ago when it all began. In Sankara, it's near the same number of years, 18, 19 years ago. In Guma local government here, we had experienced the same thing. Guma was even the most lasting attack period in the state here. I think there's a span over 20 years. Now, when we heard that attacks were being mounted on Ukum local government, we had already sent out our team, to protect and to defend. But by this time, the evil men, the attackers, the bandits, the killers, the murderers were already out there causing their havoc, and many, many more lives were lost. And we never knew this. So by the time the security agents got in there, they had now attacked and ran back. So the following morning, we now realized that many, many more corpses were being brought from the bushes, because as they came at quite in the night, and then people had just ran helter-skelter kind of. But they came in their numbers, we understand. So they had surrounded, a number of villages. Each of the villages they had gone to, they were already, just willing to take anything walking or breathing out. And it was the same system they applied in those local governments too. By morning of Friday, we realized more corpses were being brought in. Friday in the Christian circle, it's a Good Friday, when Christ was crucified. And instead of celebrating like every other Christian, we now had to mourn because so many lives had been lost. Our Good Friday became a Black Friday.
Governor.
And then when I went over there again to visit the two local governments, Logo and Ukum, who were badly hit, many more corpses were brought in. So plus the ones that were brought into the morgue on Thursday evening, and then Friday. On Saturday, many more were counted, and then we realized that 27 corpses were brought into the morgue in one local government. So we now drove into Ukum local government again, and by this time, most of the people lost were being brought back. Their corpses were being brought in from the bushes again, where they had run for shelter, and unfortunately they couldn't, nothing was done for them.
So how many people do we know now that perhaps been killed in these attacks, and perhaps how many people do we have in the hospitals injured?
Yeah, in the hospital we lost one. We lost one person again yesterday. We had lost 3 from Katsina Ala, and then the numbers are brought to 72 lives lost in those 3 local governments. 3 from Katsina Ala local government, and then 29 in Ukum local government, and 27 in Logo local government.
So now, Governor, give us an understanding, right? Because it's a troubling situation. And I know Kwande is also Katsina Ala, Ukum, Logo, and these are local government areas that border each other. And if you look at it, Ukum, for example, is about 100 kilometers from Makodi, the capital of the state. And you see that these are local government that borders some state like Nasarawa. But these attacks are described as coordinated attacks. Give us an understanding. Is it a reprisal, or who are those that are behind this?
There's no question to that at all. The way it is being executed, planned, and then hit, it's definitely coordinated, very coordinated. Kwandi local government shares border with most part of it with the Cameroon, and it is quite porous. We understand that most of the people making inroads into the state by the northeast wing of the state comes through that axis. Ukum shares border with Taraba State. Katsina shares border with Taraba State. And between Taraba all the way to Nasarawa, it's again a very vast portion. And then from Nasarawa, from Ukum, then Logo, and then from Logo again, all the way to Guma local government. And then from Guma, it takes on to Zone C, which is the Idoma land. These are very vast borders, and again, quite porous. But then these are internal borders. We usually see a plug in from Taraba State. We have been in talks with the governor over there. We've been planning and working in sync to see how coordinated our own planning and works would always be. But again, the terrorists have their own havens in some part of Taraba State, in some part of Nasarawa State, and then in this porous axis between Kwandi and Cameroon.
Governor, you call these people terrorists. You use the word Benue is under siege. There are those who say these people came in form of herders. What is the identity, as far as you know, as the #1 citizen of the state? What do you know about this narrative?
Let's have the narrative very correct. We know Nigerians by our own ethnicities. We know we can identify a Fulani man, a Yoruba man, a Hausa man, and all that. We know them. And then with the regular traditional herders, we know them walking with cows, just herders, and then with some stick and at most the machetes. That is not the case. These folks are coming in fully armed with AK-47s, AK-49. They don't bear the Nigerian looks, and they don't speak what we speak. Their Hausa, it's one sort of Hausa. It's not the normal Hausa we Nigerians speak. So it is with the Fulanis they speak. There is a trend of language they speak. And there are some of our people who understand what they speak, and they give it names. They say they are Malians and different form of people, but they are not Nigerians, believe it. This is the second phase we're seeing. The initial one was with the traditional herders. The traditional herders, we had less troubles with them. And it might interest you to know that in a number of cases, when the terrorists now come in, it's the traditional herders that we give us some kind of heads up that certain people have come in, they don't know them, and what these people do with any person on their way is cleared. This is never associated with the other traditional groups that used to pass through to Benue and then they move further down to the south. What we see, what we experience has a new, different, strange face. And it is quite alarming. If you go to Katsina local government now, the entire local government is extremely infested with these terrorists. They have spread themselves everywhere, and they are everywhere. And it's not only this. Believe me, it is a siege. We are under a siege.
Governor,
because
yeah,
out of the
Governor.
27, out of the 23 local governments, I had mentioned 17. Since we came in, we turned this down so much that 9 local governments were now in the red lines. But again, we fought in a very serious way that the majority of the local governments that are in the red lines, now in the front lines of these insurgencies, are now 6. And it is quite troubling. It is very troubling.
Let me ask you, are we seeing a new strain of terrorist sect or cell in our country with a hosted in your state? Are these, could you describe them as bandits? Or, I mean, we know the nature of Boko Haram terrorists, but this is looking like a very different strain or group or a cell that is totally in a different nature or description as what we understand. From your own understanding and what you know, the knowledge of these people, whom you say they don't have the nature of the Nigerian, Hausa, Fulani, Benue, Plateau kind of person that you know. Do we have on our hands a new version of terrorism gangs on our soil?
It is very obvious. Definitely, it's very obvious. You know, they may have cells elsewhere, and it's a very strong suspicion that in some element of Nasarawa, and then now it is established that they have some cell in at the border between Nigeria and Cameroon. We say Nigeria, which is currently local government. That these people come in, as they kill, as they maim, as they push people away, they just hit, kill, and then they run back. You know, where are they running back to? Benue is just in the middle of Nigeria. So we're surrounded by states. So they're walking through a number of states to get into us here, Benue. So it should concern every person, including our neighbors. This must be very concerning to all of them. We've been working in sync with the governor of Nasarawa as well, and then the governor of Taraba. But I feel that our efforts at some point worked, and then we experience some calm, and then at certain times when it is planting season, when it is harvesting season, and then the drill it becomes quite unimaginable. So this is deliberate, this is calculated, this is
for what purpose do you imagine,
planned and then
Governor
being
Alia,
executed?
For what purpose do you think these gangs and these evil people are acting? Is it to benefit from the harvest of your people, who are majority of farmers, or what exactly? In Plateau State, the governor told me that it looks like some kind of
Here
intention.
is land grabbing. Here is land grabbing. Here is land grabbing.
So they grab the land and they chase the people out and they stay in the land. Is that what they're doing? They're taking the territory.
Yeah, that's what's going on, because there are some local governments here these people have occupied in the last 15 years. In the last 15 years. And then those are the areas you hear of constant attacks, because they hit and then they go back into the local government hinterlands. So what they do with the store food produce is the other batch that would come with the herders, they would now open the barns, destroy the food, you know, cut the yams and whatever, the yams and then the corn, the guinea corn, the maize, and then just throw to the cows to eat. That phase now kind of died down. What we see now wears a different face. These come only armed fully, you know, with their own gadgets and machetes, and guns. So when they do their own business of attacking and killing and driving people out, after a little while, when everybody is left, then they now come back and take possession of those areas.
So, Governor, I'm going to come to something very important. How impacted has farming or agriculture been in your state? Logo, for a long time, has been is renowned for the exploit. That local government is renowned for its exploit in yam farming. How badly has things been impacted right now? Are you afraid about harvest?
No, we are. A number of the harvested were already stolen, destroyed, and now they had to run down back into the township of Zakibian. That is by that axis. So some have run back into Kasina Ala. So there's no more farming activities. Out of 10, we have just maybe 1.5 farming activities. But what we again have experienced is in some local government where initially we experienced some bad hit, like Guma local government. We had some relative calm. Guma local government, Makurdi local government, and some parts of Gwe West local government, and then Gwe itself local government. So farmers have gone back to farm. See, if you come over here, we have one of the largest IDP camp right within the town here, within Makurdi. Most 100% of the IDPs we host here are from Guma local government. Remember, we have spread around a number of 17 IDPs. The host communities are gracious enough to support our IDPs, and a good number of these people are not living in IDP set-up camps per se, but they are living with the neighbors within these communities. When farmers could not go back to farm, definitely we have problems on our hands.
So, Governor, in December,
that is what we're experiencing here now.
In December, there is a recruitment of about 5,000 personnel of the Benue State Civil Protection Guard, including ex-servicemen. Where were they when this was happening? Were they helpless, or what really happened? We thought that with putting this in place, they might be able to repel
they don't.
Go ahead, please.
The guards. The civil protection guards are also around, but they don't carry heavy gadgets. The law does not permit them to do this.
But with this experience,
what they see,
do you now think that it is important for them to be heavily armed, because the war they are fighting is so guerrilla in nature that they need to be able to face the enemy with a matching firepower? Don't you think?
Oh, yeah. See, I'm one of those who promote community policing. In fact, I was one of the very first person who supported the ideology. And this is what we need. The uniform people alone are overstretched. There's no gainsaying on this. They are overstretched. What can we do as a state, as nationals, to support what the police and the military and the civil defense are doing out there? The locals are even telling us, we want to go and protect our own turf. We want to protect our communities. How do you protect your communities if these people are coming with machetes and then the AK-47 and 49? and some heavy guns and all that.
So
And
that's a similar thing that former Governor Samuel Ortom, the former governor, had asked that the people should be allowed to protect themselves against these marauders and these attackers. Are you thinking in that line to allow your people to defend themselves? You said that the security agencies are overstretched because you are now looking like you are helpless. You can no longer defend your people because these people come heavily armed. What is your option as a protector of your people and the man who has the mandate to protect them?
You know, here's the thing. Fact be told, we need to say big thank you to the Nigerian police, Nigerian army, and the civil defense and the DSS for all they have done here in the state. As per the part of what happened, used to happen before we came in the last 1 year and now 9 months, it was quite horrendous. It was terrible. But what we have been experiencing in the last year and 9 months, the state had largely experienced some relative peace. And it is 100% based on the efforts of the uniformed people. So we must commend them. And the federal government has stood with us and for us all along. The shift, it's now just quite enormous that more hands should come in, because in one local government, eyewitness tells us that when the terrorists come in, they're not just coming in say in their 50s, they're coming in hundreds, 200-300. You know, they're talking about coming on motorbikes, and then one motorbike picks three or four people, and then they're talking about over 200 bikes. That's a lot of terrorists just drusing in. So in as much as there is a very grave need for the defense, including the self-defense of our people, let's not be very sentimental about this. We wouldn't want to have even more scores of deaths on our hands. We simply need to start what could have begun yesterday, thinking on this community policing. We need it. There must be excesses. If we now put our minds on the establishment of community policing, we know the right people to bring in each of the states, and this can be handled. This can be handled.
So, Governor, just on a final note, Governor, on a final note, where do you go from here? I know that you will not stand by and allow your people to continue to be killed. Where do you go from here?
We've put in a lot of efforts on this as the state government as well. We got 100 hillocks and distributed to the military, the civil defense, all the security apparatuses we have in the state. And then we also empowered our President Zinda, a task force. And then we brought in these civil protection guards. We have a course again for our own Anyamio to move out there. And so this is the support. We also bought 600 motorbikes, you know, and distributed for this. And this is why you hear less attacks and less results.
All right.
I am for the community policing. We need to do this. Yesterday, we have involved again on trying to quell all this, involved our traditional rulers. Yesterday, we had a very fruitful meeting with all the stakeholders from the government to the civil society and the traditional institutions, both in Otukpo, under the Ochidoma, and then under Totiv here also in Buku. And why were we doing this? We need for people to understand that we are under siege. They shouldn't just say they will take laws into their hands. They are not prepared to what is coming our way. And this is why we even reminded the NSA this afternoon that the need we have for him to come in, it's like yesterday. At each of the attacks, we've established a good relationship, with his office, and then they have been sending their own support. But there is a grave need here.
All right.
We also need a forward-based operation bases at those borders. If they have the personnel, and then, or if we also a kind of scout from within, we have a number of retired personnel in the military who are so willing to do this.
All right.
But we don't have the gadgets.
Governor.
So why we are trying to be very law-abiding. Yeah. We've been taking huge advantage of this, we understand. But there is an emergency for now to quell down this insecurity and save lives in these states.
Governor Alia, thank you so much. I would have loved to get, even if it's 15 seconds of your tributes to the Pope Francis, who died as a Reverend Father. How much of him do you know? Just in 15 seconds, if you can say something about him.
Oh, quite a lot, quite a lot. It's quite tragic to the Catholic world. It's one person who represented the common masses, the very poor of the society. And he worked from his heart. He's someone who understood what the rest of people were going through, the immigrants, those who were being enslaved in different forms, and then the less privileged. He did a lot of this for all of us. And he is a big loss. He's someone who also dared so much in the church. I personally learned so much from him as well, representing the poor people, the poor masses, and we'll continue to pray for his repose. And it's my prayer that we have someone who fully understands the human need and wears a human heart, who would emerge and then who would now carry everybody along and understand the different challenges we have in different parts of the world, to speak for those places and to be there for the rest, not only of the Catholic Church, but of the entire citizenry of the world.
Peace to the entire Catholic world, and especially the people of Benue State. Reverend Father Alia, thank you so much indeed. Our heart goes out to those who have lost close ones and the citizens of the state that have been killed in these attacks. And we're hoping that your government and the federal government will be able to have a stronger hold on the territory to protect the people. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight, Your Excellency, Governor of Benue State.
Thank you so much, Sherwin. Looking forward to doing this again. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much indeed. I appreciate it. Tonight, we'll shift our attention swiftly to the issues regarding the rights of women. So, as the National Assembly planned in resumption of plenary, a coalition of women rights leaders and civil society champions are advocating the need for the speedy passage of the reserved seats for women currently before the 10th National Assembly, and they addressed a news conference today in Abuja. The spokesperson is a media personality, Chief Osasu Igbenedi Oguche, who says there is an urgent need to address the dwindling participation of women in politics through the passage of the bill, which aims to guarantee inclusivity for women. I'm being joined tonight by Executive Director of Follow the Money, and the founder also of Follow the Money, Hamza Lawal, and of course the a women rights champion, Chief Osasu Igbenedi Oguche. Thank you so much, gentlemen and lady, for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you, Sean.
Why should we have more seats, reserved seats for women? Why, Osasu?
When women rise, nations rise. It's that simple. Look at Rwanda. There are 61% of women who make up the parliament. Their economy is thriving because of that. Their healthcare indices have improved. Their education has improved. And the overall well-being of Rwandans as well. So this is common sense for us.
Do you have a fear that this bill might not see the light of day, considering the history of bills relating to women in the National Assembly?
No, I don't. This bill is different. As I explained in my earlier press conference with my colleague here, Hamza, this bill seeks to bring 1 additional seat per state in the National Assembly, that is in the Senate and in the House of Representatives,
so that
respectively.
means 4 seats per state.
So no, that's 1 seat per 36 states. That's 36 plus the FCT, 37. So 37 additional senators and 37 additional House of Representative members. Then in the State House of Assemblies, 3 additional seats per state. And what this basically is trying to do is to bridge the global gender parity gap. International standards says 35% should at least be made up of women. In Nigeria, we have an abysmal record of 3.8% of parliamentarians who are women in the 10th National Assembly. This has to change. Statistics show that $22.9 billion can be added to our economy just by involving women in decision-making. This is according to the World Bank. So this is a no-brainer. This is an investment that Nigerians need to make, and we're demanding for the passage of this bill. The President needs to support it. Our leaders need to support it. Our parliamentarians need to pass this bill, and citizens and the media as well need to demand for it.
Yeah, we will understand your bias because you're a woman too, fighting for the right of, but what is Hamza's own concern in this case? I know you are a woman's man. That's on the lighter note. But Hamza, why should we have more women in governance?
So first, it's important to state that if not for my mother, I would not be here. So imagine if we have women who sacrifice to ensure that their children go to school. We know that women are natural leaders. They bring forward not even issues that directly affect them, but issues that affect society. I think that this is one bill that would ensure that women take their space and their agency. This is not tokenism. This also means that women will put in the work, because if you look at this bill critically, it does not mean that because it is reserved that it's a walk in the park. No. It means that women will contest among themselves, and it will provide them an equal playing ground. You and I know that internal party politics does not guarantee fairness for women and equity in our polity. We believe that this would also ensure inclusivity and will bring about peace. We need to see more women in the helms of affairs, in the hands of, in the leadership of Nigeria. Imagine that young girl in various primary school and secondary school. If they see more women, they would also have hope that truly Nigeria is ready. Imagine the world even saying that, oh, well, Nigeria is now reserving seats. This shows that we're really ready. This also depicts that truly fairness and equity can rise. If you look at the Sustainable Development Goal, Goal 5 talks about gender equality. This shows that Nigeria is serious for business. And I'm particularly excited because the sponsor of this bill at the House of Representatives is the Deputy Speaker of the House of Rep. So this also shows that there's men support. This talks about he for she. So again, this is what we want to see. And Cheon, you should also support it as a he for she.
I am a champion for women's rights. Every time I have a woman on this program, I'm always very excited because I've had my challenges inviting women on the program. At the last minute, sometimes they cancel because they need to attend to the home front, which is also very critical. So there is always a bias in political conversations to the men folk. So you find the president of the Federal Republic is a man, the vice president is a man, the Senate president is a man, the deputy Senate president is a man, the speaker is a man, the deputy speaker is a man, the Senate majority leader is a man, the House majority leader is a man, the Senate minority leader is a man, the House minority leader is a man. Typically, it just looks like all men in the room speaking in one voice and the women are shut out. That is what it looks like for me. But then it looks like a man's world. That's our politics. How easy do you think that can change? Because if you have to have this bill passed, it means that you need to convince the men to vote for the women. But the women don't have a voice there.
No. So if you look at even the statistics of society, over 200 million people, half of that numbers are women. If you look at the data from even INEC, and if you look at, Shen, we've observed the election together with you, most people on the queue are women. They're mostly women and young people.
So women voting for men in office?
Well,
mostly.
Well, because again, Shen, if you look at internal party politics, who makes it to become flag bearers are men. They're mostly men. because they're money bags and they muscle women and shut them out. And mind you, when we talk about issues that affect society, if we have women in those rooms, why are the men taking decisions for women? No. Let's allow men and women. And mind you, we're not saying, oh, let all the men retire. No, we're saying, let's form allyship.
Inclusivity.
Yes, let's have a society that
so let me pause you for a moment. We need to go on a break, but I always have this contention when we were in school. You see these very, very brilliant girls who would beat us silly academically. And I remember there was a graduation in Afebabala University. The law graduates, they had 19 girls, 19 women who had first class, not a single guy. But unfortunately, when they get outside there, they won't be given a chance. That's not fair if you're looking at fairness. Because if they can beat us men to our game in the classroom, why can't they have an upper hand in the real world? We'll take a break, everyone. But when we come back, it's going to be a shame of the world we belong to politically if women are not given the right of place. We'll be right back, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us. We're talking about women's right and women's right of place in our politics and governance. Is it perhaps the reason why we've seen some failures in some sectors of governance because there are no women there? Look at the statistics that tells us that in the 10th National Assembly is a woeful and a poor outing for women. In the 10th Assembly, we have women occupying only 3 out of the 109 seats. It represents only 2.7% abysmal in the Senate, and 17 out of the 360 seats in the House of Representatives. In fact, in terms of the number, they are better, 4.7. And the entirety of the National Assembly is just 4.2% because of the 460 members, if you put them together, 109 and 360. So how will you have, just call it a man's National Assembly so that we know that it's all for men. So, but tonight I'm for women. So we need to have this passed. It's going to be a shame.
Not just tonight, every night and every day. You will be supporting women, right?
So what is the strategy? And there are those who will say, well, it might be a cultural thing that women are always. We've had the president who said his wife belonged into the kitchen and the room. So, but we do know that women deserve more. Exactly. And they have a voice to be represented. Yes. We have a president who was a former senator. We have the wife is a former senator. We have a vice president who is a former senator. So it means that they understand what it means to have a woman rightly placed in the society, in our politics. So what is the strategy in aligning this or making this bill passed?
So, as you rightfully said, we have 469 members of parliament on the national level, on the federal level. We have 18 out of that 469 that are women. So in the Senate, you have an abysmal 3.6%, and in the House of Representatives, you have about 4%. This is not okay. We cannot be making laws for the generality of our population, and you only have the male folk who are doing that. We cannot fly, we can't soar as a nation with one hand tied behind our backs. We cannot move this country forward with half of our population being sat out. We need to include women. And this is not tokenism. This is an elective position where these women who want to vie for political offices will be competing against each other. They will be spending on their campaigns, they will be going out to mobilize support, they'll be galvanizing people to understand their policies and their manifestos. So this is not tokenism.
This is not the first time also that this is coming up.
Gender bills have failed.
It died. Well, yes. It died severally.
But this is different.
Why would this be different?
This is different in the structure of it. As I explained to you earlier, this is looking to reserve special seats for women. This is not tokenism. These seats can only be contested by the women folk. So in the Senate, the 37 additional seats, so let's say you're from, what state are you from, Sheun?
I'm from Kwara.
Kwara State.
Representing the good people of Kwara State.
Of Kwara State. So the seat from Kwara State can only be contested by women in Kwara State. So whether they're APC, APGA, Labour Party, PDP, whatever party they're coming from, can only be contested by women for that seat. And it will be the same for the remaining 35 seats and the FCT. So it's going to be a very competitive election as well. But what this tends to do is to ensure that we're at least reaching that gender parity gap of international standards. As you rightfully said, the president supported his wife, backed his wife when she wanted to become senator, because he sees the essence, he sees the beauty,
that
he sees
woman
the
is an extraordinary woman. It's not your usual woman anyway. She's a fighter.
And
she's
guess
dogged.
what? Guess what?
Yeah.
There are a lot of Remi Tinubu's in a lot of us, right? She became the senator. She represented her people. She stood up for her rights. She spoke, and she spoke intelligently. She showcased her prowess as a woman. And there are a lot of women out there who can do the same if they are given a chance. But when you have a rigged electoral system or a rigged party system that doesn't even allow women emerge victorious, even when they win the ticket, then you can't even talk about fairness.
My
and
worry
equity.
now, Hamza, is that even if you look at the federal cabinet, out of about 48 ministers, you have less than 10 women, about 7 of them. That is appointive. And I'm worried about the atmosphere, whether or not there is the political atmosphere, and whether or not the stratosphere is actually in favor of women. What do you think should be done to the internal party? Because that also matters, isn't it?
Yes. You know, a lot of political parties have adopted affirmative action. It's just to implement that really counts. And I think that, you know, power only listens to numbers. And I think in organizing, and I think as we go into 2027, we should organize better. And numbers are power, and these politicians want the numbers, and women have the numbers. And we've seen allianceship between women and young people, and hopefully we can negotiate better. But the exciting part about, you know, this reserve seat is I am confident that the Senate President, the Speaker of the House, would support it. And mind you, this is part first and second reading. It's now in the committee stage, and by next month, there will be public hearing. And that's why we're starting this campaign, to galvanize that support, so that on the day of the public hearing, we're going to storm the National Assembly and say, this bill is for the people. We're already organizing at the grassroots. Because, you know, we're trying to alter the Constitution, so it's still going to go to the State Assembly. So we're already organizing, we're already mobilizing, and most importantly, educating people, you know, to support this bill and vote yes for it. And we're confident it's going to, in short, we're even much more confident that once it's passed, the president will sign it. We would not delay.
So let me tell you, breaking news. I'm going to announce my ambassadorial position for this. I'm going to lend a voice in ensuring that this goes. It's up to the lawmakers either in the center and at the state level. But I am going to be an ambassador for the rights of women, a rightful place of women in our politics and governance. And one person will know just how important a woman's voice can be. Your parting shot in these conversations. So where do we go from here? We need to call out all the first ladies or the deputy governors. Some of them are women. We need to call out Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, call out the president, call out the vice president and their wives to say, this is the time to rise for women.
Thank you, Sharon, and we truly do appreciate your support. We will be leaving this with you. So all the politicians that come on this program, you speak to them about this bill. They need to hold this placard and also make sure their actions are aligned with what this says, which is, I support the reserve seats for women's bill. My message is clear. To the National Assembly, pass the bill. To our political leaders, support the bill. To the media, to the citizens, demand for the passage of this bill.
Hamza, your parting shot.
For our religious and traditional leaders, this is one way to ensure that we integrate peace into our conversation, because women represent peace and justice.
I know some very fabulous women out there. The Amina Mohammed of this world, the Obieze Kwesili of this world, the Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala of the world, the Jumoke Oduwole of this world, the Sholamomas of this world. These are gallant women who fight in their professional space. So why would we not fight for the right of women? Can you hand me? Today, I lend a voice to a reserved seat for women. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
so much.
And I think
Ambassador Sheung.
Ambassador.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. Let's fight for the woman, because it's the right thing to do. God bless Nigeria.